I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil.
Oh, it doesn't like say that thing, but whatever, that's fine. It's like, you are now recording.
And the lizard.
Oh, so I put that in, I didn't realize that everyone else would see that. But whatever. That's what I'm going with this episode. I am the lizard. I was wondering because we're doing a new a new app or whatever, a new system. And can you see through my skin suit or no? Is it good?
Yeah, you look pretty convincing.
All right, good. All right, very cool.
I got parts off of you. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Right. That's how us lizards make our living.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Reckless Musecast
podcast. Of the Dreckless Zooscast.
Yes. And you can see my name on the thing there, and you can see his name on the thing there.
So, Ben the Lizard D'Alessio.
Yeah. All right, cool. So a bunch of crazy, it's I was just thinking today, I was like, man, it's so good that we have so many insane people running our culture because we would have nothing to talk about.
That keeps us in business.
Yes, exactly.
These goddamn psychopaths.
This is fucking hall monitors, man. These people who think they know what's
so what are we talking about?
Okay, so first, I'm gonna get this off my chest. Woke Superman.
Oh, all right.
Oh God. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I'm a bit.
Is Superman woke, or did the creators of Superman go woke?
The creators made him woke. So the creators went woke, and
so literally is woke Superman.
Yeah, and so I got a quote from one of the creators who's being an SJW now, and then I got a quote from a former DC Comics creator going off on a rant about the crazy stupid direction that Superman is going in. Okay, so a little bit of context. So right now the current Superman is not Superman Kal-El or Clark Kent. It's his son, who he had with Lois Lane. It's Jonathan Kent. So there are a few things.
Is he the super gay one?
Yeah, he's super bi. Yeah. Right. So they made him bi. He came out as bi.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I'll just go through the list because there are a few things that happened this week. So he's bi now. It's no longer truth, justice, in the American way. It's truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. So getting rid of America. America is a symbol of globalism, racism, imperialism, or whatever. And then I got a quote here from Tom Taylor, who's the current writer of that series. He says, "The question for John and for our creative team is, what should a new Superman fight for today? Can a 17-year-old Superman battle giant robots while ignoring the climate crisis? Of course not." So there was an issue that came out recently of the cover of which has Superman, because right now the new Superman is a teenager. He's in high school. And he's going on a school strike for climate crisis, for climate justice or whatever.
What does that even fucking mean? Like, this is the one issue that that's the most like nebulous. Maybe just like the racism issue too. Everything just devolves into white supremacy, which there are pockets of white supremacy. It exists in some spaces, but the vast majority, it's just fucking not.
Yeah.
This one I also don't get. Like, what do they want? Like, how do they want to fix this besides like maybe electric cars or something? Like, what? I don't understand it. It's more of, fix the I see lawn signs like climate action now, but what are they gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know, and especially adding justice to it, because they make it seem like we're all like like we're all at the peril. Again, just the whole justice thing. Like, what does that mean? Like, it's like,
I can tell you it means, because a lot of times, this is intersectionality. It's
right.
This group of people live in this part of the city that is closer to this. One example. I know I bring up New Orleans a lot, but I know it well, and I live there. And they always bring up the lower Ninth Ward, right? That was like the poster child of destruction. The lower Ninth Ward is very impoverished, almost entirely black, at least back in 2005. Probably 90 to 95% black. around Katrina, part of the city that was devastated during Katrina. It was horrible, right?
Right.
There are parts of that city that look like Katrina happened a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
but people also don't realize that the Lakeview neighborhood. So anyway, they'll say like, well, poor minority neighborhood hit the hardest because of racism, and it was hit by climate. That's the intersection, but they leave it that Lakeview neighborhood, the per capita wealthiest neighborhood in New Orleans, the whitest neighborhood in New Orleans, or one of them, was also devastated. Now those people have more resources to handle it, but like in terms of the climate, it was just as fucked, or like very, very close to it. But that's obviously left out because it doesn't fit the narrative. So to answer your question, it's like, well, where's the justice come from? Well, that's where it comes from. It's like, well, A happens, so that means B, C, D, and E have to happen, just because that's how intersectionality works, which a lot of times doesn't line up. Like that's why I told you I get hungry for intersectional pretzels. It's Black Lives Matter protesting the vaccine mandates in New York. I fucking love it. I'm all for it. But anyway, so get back to Superman sucking dick or whatever it is.
So here's the thing. I don't even care that they added some newer, I guess, more progressive elements to it. I think the thing that bothers me is that it feels forced. Like instead of creating a new character,
it feels forced. Like none of this other shit feels forced. Oh no, it's just so natural that all these characters are activists now, and every single commercial. Have you ever watched Hulu? Do you get Hulu?
No.
Okay, so Hulu is like woke streaming in terms of not necessarily what I watch. I use it. I like it. I watch a lot of shows on it and movies, but like in terms of the commercials, because I'm too cheap to pay for the non-ad one, so I do the commercials one. And it's investing in everyone is obviously extremely diverse and gay, and you have white guys saying I'm going to invest in black owned businesses. You're full of shit. You're not investing in black owned businesses, you motherfucker. Like you're buying the cheapest product for the quality because that's how everyone does everything. But anyway, that's I don't know how I got on this rant. I'm a hot little potato tonight. So
what are you drinking right now?
Well, for the sponsors, which we don't have yet, it's water. Actually, it's vodka. I did do this is the fucking shit. I get shit. So I buy the cheapest vodka that exists, right? I buy the big handle. The big handle of the $13 vodka because insiders will tell you it's all the fucking same. So today I happen to have a bottle of Kettle One in my fridge, and I'm a big martini guy. And when I get martinis, I don't get like martinis, right? I get Kettle One, I get Tito's, I get Grey Goose or something like that. Some of that's appearance, but some of that's also like, okay, maybe it is better. I did a blind taste test. I had my sister pour 2 little shots. I didn't know which was which, and I tasted them, and they're the same fucking thing. Like the $13 handle and the Kettle One, which is very, very good vodka, if not like a top shelf vodka. So that's what I'm drinking.
Okay, just drinking it straight, or
no seltzer.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm drinking Stone Enjoy by 1031. It's a spooky hazy IPA. So
Stones, they were like the arrogant bastard, right? That was like their big thing. I remember that was like so edgy when I worked in a liquor store. Like 18-year-olds would come in who I would not know were 18. And be like, can I get the arrogant bastard? I'm like, yeah, it's in the back.
I love drinking that one. I love the arrogant bastard. So the Superman. We were talking about how forced all this woke stuff is. So again, like if they'd have created a new character who was bi or trans or whatever, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. Yeah, like there's bound.
That's always my argument. But go ahead.
Yeah. But instead, like within the span of like a couple of months, Superman is now he's bi. He's in favor of getting rid of the American way. And he's in favor of climate justice. So all of a sudden, like they turned a switch.
I think we're on the same page with this. Well, so first of all, I do want to push back a little, maybe, but isn't it his son and not Superman?
That's what I'm saying. He's called the new Superman now. He's the new Superman. Like,
so what happened to Superman?
I think
he can't die.
No,
right? Isn't that like his thing?
No, I think he's just chilling.
All right, but this is Superman now.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so if
Superman's
that's the
son is the new
case,
Superman. Yeah.
if that's the case, then yeah, my argument is always just like, why can't we just make a bi superhero?
Yeah.
I mean, to his credit, I can't stand the guy Ta-Nehisi Coates, but
Yeah.
wasn't he a big part of Black Panther? Or no? Did Black Panther predate that? I don't know if he's a big part of creating Black Panther or like
no.
helping with
Black
the
Panther's
movie.
been around since the 60s.
Oh, it had. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was actually created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Yeah, he's been around.
Oh, well, then we have to cancel them because those are white guys.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So Black Panther is, well, no, I mean, no more white saviors. But anyway, the point is that just make new superheroes, make new characters. Like I've made this argument with the Ariel being not white, right? Like I don't know who's playing her, but it's like
the live action Disney.
like
Little
Ariel.
Mermaid.
It's a fucking Danish folklore. Like why don't you just make, like, they made the Princess and the Frog. They've made Moana. They've made like how many non-white, like it can be done. So just do that. And to me, I feel like one, you're pissing off both sides. You're pissing off the people who are fans of the character because they either grew up with that character or that's how he or she is just supposed to be. And then honestly, I think you're pissing off the people you're trying to please, because like you're just rendering them a different gradient instead of like actually doing some work and making us our own characters who we can look up to, and we can have children who look up to these characters and then bring their children to the movies and read them the books and all that stuff. It's like to me, it's just so typical Hollywood or Marvel or DC or whatever it is, just like pushing it with the times. And I mean, I don't know. But then again, at the same time, all of this to me always comes back to it is a business. Is this going to sell well? I mean, Black Panther did extremely well, but Black Panther was an original character. It wasn't the Panther, a white guy, and then turned him into Black Panther. Like that wasn't, and that did so. Like, doesn't that show you something? Like,
So right now, Superman sales are very, very low. They're lowest they've been in years. So I don't think that this is going to help much. So yeah, but you're absolutely right. Where it's like they have so many options here. They have so many avenues to go down where they can have their cake and eat it too. They can have the loyal fan base who's been around for years. Like, all right, cool. Like this is my character. Don't change them. These ways he's always been for decades since I was a kid. And then you also have the opportunity to attract a newer, more progressive audiences. And it's like, okay, like let's, the legacy heroes, don't fuck with them. We're gonna keep them the way they've always been, and then let's add some new characters so we can bring in more audiences. I don't see why I don't know why that's not the most obvious fucking thing for them to just do, but they don't do it. They instead it's like because let's mangle
because they want to pass off as being progressive and I mean, I guess that's the best term, while not actually doing any like work, like not actually putting in the effort to make new characters. But they still get the benefit of the brand. Like Superman is a hell of a brand. Like, the sales are down, but it's still the most made Batman, I guess. Like it's one of the most recognizable IPs. And why is DC then? I'm not real into all of these movies and I mean, I know them from just culture and I like a lot of them, but I haven't seen the vast majority of these movies. How come if DC has Batman, Superman, the Joker, how come they kind of suck compared to Marvel? Like, isn't Marvel significantly better? In terms of in terms of like popularity and had the quality of the movies, or is that not accurate? Is that just like the people I listen to who happen to be more Marvel oriented?
I'm more Marvel oriented. I think that overall, like what the MCU's done in recent years is a lot better than what the DCE.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. In terms of that, definitely. But I mean, at the same time, I don't think there's any Marvel movie that's as good as like The Dark Knight.
I mean, Dark Knight's incredible. That's one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah. But I mean, that's a whole other debate. Like, where it's like Marvel and DC always come into blows, and it's just like
well, whoever's gonna win is what the wokest one's gonna win.
I guess so. Well, I mean, and it's funny because Marvel did this, and they've been doing this, which is why I've stopped reading newer Marvel comics. But again, it was a stupid thing. Like when the MCU really like first blew up about 10 years ago, like 2010, 2011. What they did was they took a lot of the legacy characters that were being featured in big movies, being played by A-listers, and they replaced them with diverse characters. And here's the thing. They didn't add new diverse characters to those worlds. Instead, it's like, hey, let's take Iron Man. Iron Man's really popular. People love Robert Downey Jr. Let's take Iron Man and put him in a coma. And I was like, okay, like,
Hmm.
but people who love the movie, they're going to wander to the comics. Like, oh, I love Robert Downey Jr. I'm going to read some Iron Man comics. Okay, he's now been replaced with a teenage black girl. Okay, I was like, hey, let's take Thor.
Yeah.
People love Chris Hemsworth as Thor. Let's depower him and replace him with a woman who's got cancer. So then people read, oh, Thor, yeah, oh,
Yeah, the God of Thunder with some like sick bitch who's
yeah,
just like,
okay.
Wait, she has
And
cancer and she's a superhero?
so when she picks up Thor's
Oh,
hammer,
that is
then,
so
then,
fucking
then
on the
she,
nose,
I
man.
know,
Like,
yeah,
it's one of those things. Like, yeah, you feel horrible. These people are suffering. Like,
yeah.
I wish them all the best in the world. But like, do people with cancer want to see a superhero? Like, don't they just want a superhero?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm being insensitive. It seems very on the nose.
Oh yeah, it is. It's absolutely on the nose. It's not
Yeah.
enough to be like, hey, let's create a new character and give them an interesting impediment. But then, for example, I think Daredevil is a great example of that. Like, let's take someone who's blind, but then enhance all of his other senses. So it's like, oh, he's got this one
Yeah.
weakness, but everything else about him is improved.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't Cyclops too? Wasn't Cyclops blind?
No, he's not
Or no?
blind, but he can't take his
Not
glasses off though.
Oh, I don't know
Yeah.
shit about X-Men. That's one I know the least about.
Fucking normie.
I'm that stereotype of the guy who like actually does like the gritty, more realistic, Joker, for instance. I am that. I have seen some of them more. I like. I saw Civil War.
Yeah.
I've seen Iron Man. I've seen Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Like those big parts of my childhood.
Oh, yeah.
I have nothing against him. Like I'm not a hater on him. To me, I think it's kind of the point where, especially with the MCU, it's so overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I do really like to watch things in order. Like if it shows, I'm not just going to watch like season 5, episode 3 of some random show. I want to watch season 1, episode 1, and the pilot go from there. And I guess you can watch them out of order, except for maybe like the last few, but no, like I don't know the order, and I know I could look it up online in 10 seconds. My brother got real into
daunting.
it.
It's like
it's just
if
like,
you
oh
want to
fuck,
watch
man.
like the latest Avengers movies, like you have to watch 40 hours of content before you.
Yeah, I think I'm too far. I think I'm too far behind. I think the ship has sailed on that one. I've watched a few. I've seen Black Panther. I've seen Captain Marvel. I don't know.
Yeah, I know it's a daunting task, but Oh, and real quick, I want to read the rant. So this is Ethan Van Sciver, who is a former DC. I think he was an artist or colorist, and he's gotten in trouble a little bit. Just like making fun of SJW types, and he's gotten some controversy before.
Send him to the guillotine.
I would love to interview him because
right to the guillotine.
He sounds like a very fun, profane guy. And then he also got some. I'm sure this didn't help his reputation, but he also did illustrations for Jordan Peterson's first.
Oh yeah, that'll go over real well.
It wasn't his first book, but it was the first big one. It was 12 Rules for Life. So he did some illustrations for that. It's like, yeah, I'm sure he's like.
What was that? What was that shit with like some character being based off, like some villain being based off Jordan Peterson?
Oh yeah, we've never talked about that, but yeah, we can go on that real quick. So that was Ta-Nehisi
like Red Skull or something.
Yeah,
Ta-Nehisi
Coates is the current writer of Captain America. And so he made Red Skull, who's basically an evil Nazi.
So character. He made him. He wasn't an old.
Actually, Red Skull is like the earliest, Captain America villain. He's been around since the early 40s.
Oh, so he has been around.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. But what Ta-Nehisi Coates did, that son of a bitch, he basically turned him into sort of like a Jordan Peterson alt-right amalgam, where he's like. He was like trying to influence young.
What is alt-right about Jordan? I don't know what these terms mean. What the fuck does alt-right even mean anymore?
Anybody who's not like super woke, then you're alt-right basically. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I generally like Jordan Peterson. He says some crazy things.
Oh yeah, but me too. But from what I've heard, but like I feel like in the 2015, 2016, there was like very much an alt-right scene, and that was like I'm not like that was legit scary to me. There were neo-Nazis, there were guys doing Sig Heils, there was legitimate white supremacists, right? Those are white supremacists. Now they still free speech, they still get a voice. You counter protest, right? But that being said, that's white supremacy.
Right.
That very much does exist, but the term has lost its meaning because it gets thrown around anyone who's like right of Ilhan Omar. It's like is now alt-right. So I don't know what it means anymore. Like I don't know what's alt-right about. It's like personal responsibility alt-right. Like isn't that Jordan Peterson's big thing?
Yeah.
Like clean your room. Right. Like that kind of stuff. I don't So I don't know. I don't know what the term means anymore. I'm probably alt right now. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
all right.
Yeah. But I guess there was like a caption from one of the comics, and it had like Hydra, which is like the evil organization that Red Skull runs. And I think it was like 10 rules for life or something like that. And like it had similar rules to Jordan
Oh
Peterson's
yeah,
rules for
yeah,
life.
yeah.
But so Jordan Peterson actually he recently released some merch around that. He's all right, fine, make fun of me. I'll
Lean into it. Yes. Is he doing that?
So what he did is so you know that the Hydra logo from the Marvel movies is it's just this sort of octopus thing, or it's a Hydra from mythology.
Right,
but he replaced it with a lobster, but it's like stylized in a similar thing.
Good for him, man. That's awesome. Like leaning into shit is the way to go. First of all, people love villains. So like making this guy who like because Ta-Nehisi Coates clearly does not like him, right? So this wasn't some type of compliment. I've always said a movie, especially like these kind of movies, like a superhero movie stuff, is only as good as its villain. You have a shitty villain, doesn't matter how good your hero is. Dark Knight was amazing, not because of Christian Bale's Batman, but because of Heath Ledger as Joker, right? That's what made the movie. So even Black Panther, I mean, I thought Killmonger was the best part of that movie. Maybe not, I don't know, but basically to make him a villain who tons of kids, especially like look at the demographic you're talking to, kids, right? You know how many guys I was actually more of the superhero fan, but tons of my friends were like they were with the villain. They dressed up as a villain for Halloween. They picked the villain in the video games and the one-on-one fighters and stuff like that. So to make a legitimate enemy the villain of your comic like seems really dumb in a way. And then because they are going to figure out this is based on a for real guy, then they're going to go to his YouTube channel, buy his books, and listen to his podcast. Right. That being said, we should market ourselves as the villains, which we kind of done. Because I'm serious, like, and good for him for leaning into it. Awesome.
So that's so real quick. Getting back to the Ethan Van Sciver, the artist.
Sounds like a douchebag.
No, Ethan Van Sciver.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Well, he sounds like a douchebag. He might be an awesome guy.
Ethan Van Sciver. Yeah, I don't trust those Ethans.
And more the Van Sciver part. I mean, Van something just sounds like Dutch colonialism.
So I got this quote from him here. I guess he was on a podcast and he was talking about like the whole woke Superman thing.
Sure.
They call us bigots and racist and shit. I would ask them, find me in the fucking mainstream, not in the fringes, one fucking book, one fucking t-shirt, one movie that says leftism is bad and conservatism is good. Find it for me. They fucking won't. They're not letting people have a voice. They're the fucking biggest. Sorry, he concluded his rant. That's been bottled up for 5 years. Yeah, he's gotten a lot of controversy, so I'm glad he's able to kind of get that off.
Good for him.
Just like,
So when's he going to start working for the Daily Wire? So apparently that's where everyone just goes. I mean, hey, they got to work somewhere.
That chick, Allison something, the sports chick from ESPN.
I think I think in 5 years, Daily Wire is going to be competing with not on the same level, but they're going to be compete because they're going to start making their own movies. They're going to grow, having their own podcasts, having their own comment. Like, unfortunately, I think this is the way we're going because one side has taken such a drastic progressive leftist approach to the culture that which doesn't attract even half of the country. Like even people on the left aren't attracted to this all the time. As you put it, it's forced. It's in your face. And it's like, if you deviate, and they make enemies so quickly from previous allies because they will eat their own. I mean, and maybe is that a good segue into Chappelle that we were going to talk about? Like,
absolutely.
I mean, I didn't want to cut off that combo.
No, I'm done with Superman. Let's talk.
All right. So I mean, but to conclude on that, I can't wait to see my first comic of Superman pegging his boyfriend, which doesn't make sense, but good for him. Chappelle. So I mean, as everyone knows, people lost their shit over his special, which was like, again, Jesus. It's like, first of all, how many people actually watched it start to finish? I don't know. I did. You haven't? Okay.
I know. I've been meaning to. Yeah, but it's been small.
So I did, and I thought it was funny. I actually realized I didn't watch Sticks and Stones. I don't know why. I didn't make a concerted effort to do that, but it was funny. Obviously, that's not why we're going to talk about it, because people didn't lose their shit because it was funny. So shit because it was edgy or maybe even over the edge. I don't know. He rips on everyone. What's so funny to me is like this just shows how ridiculous this like pyramid of victimization comes. He literally says in the special, obviously joking, but it's all jokes. There's just in it something to the effect of, obviously you would know that I hate white people. Like he says that, and everyone loves it, and the white people love it, and it's because it's a fucking comedy show. But of course, it's not why people are protesting. You don't have MAGA and Proud Boys and alt-right and all these groups protesting because a comedian, the most famous comedian in the world, right? Probably said, I hate white people. Like, no, of course not. That's why. That'd be silly. Yeah. It's because he made jokes about the star on top of the victimization pyramid, which is the alphabet group, right? Yeah, specifically, not even gays or bisexuals or lesbians or anything like that, but the trans community, right? Which I don't really like using community because they all have different views.
Yeah.
And in it, so you didn't watch this, right? So I should summarize this. There's a reason behind this, even if there wasn't, right? It's jokes, it's comedy.
Yeah.
But he proves, he has a point here, is that he had a friend, like someone who's near and dear to his heart, who was a trans woman in San Francisco. And he would go to San Francisco and she would open for him. And she was terrible at comedy. And he would tell her that she was not funny, but she was his friend and people liked her. And she would open for him sometimes. And then I can't remember. I watched this a couple days ago. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think maybe she came out in support of him after Sticks and Stones or something like that. Like she was either vocally against all the madness and the crazy activists. Because I want to clarify that whenever I'm criticizing groups, it's not like the group. It's like the activists. It's the loud voices. It's usually even a fraction of a fraction, but they do control narratives. They do push policy, and they like, unfortunately.
Right.
So I don't have any issues with the trans people. I have huge issues with trans activists, and he does too. You know why? Because they fucking killed her. Yeah, in a way, right? They didn't literally shoot her, or stab her, or anything like that, but she killed herself because of the horrible messages she would get, and the threats, and and all of that stuff. And that's the point that he's making, and they're fucking not getting it. That's the point, is that he was hurt, that his friend killed herself because of these lunatics. And you know, it's like that's lost on these people. So it's either because they don't actually watch what they're protesting, or because they don't care. It goes past them, or they're so fucking like their head is so far up their own asses that they can't even breathe and like understand what they're protesting. And so that was kind of the foundation for his jokes, is that he was very much trying to press buttons and be edgy, because he has a legitimate problem with a portion of these people, which are the activists, the crazies, and they're unhinged. Like anyone can see that. Like don't buy into the narrative. Like you can see it with your own eyes. Like this is madness. So
this is such a wild story, because when the closer first dropped and I was first hearing about some of the like people being bothered by it, I was like, oh, like I'm gonna write an article about this on Medium. I think it's like I'm very interested in freedom of speech and offense and all that stuff. But then the story just kept going and going.
It's not over.
So the closer dropped, people started freaking out, and then Ted Sarandos, the CEO of Netflix, he sent out what I thought was a pretty good, surprisingly good email to everyone at Netflix, talking about why comedy is provocative and art should kind of push buttons, but that's okay because
we have all different types of creators on. We have all types of work. We are international. We're in how many different countries? There are people all over the political spectrum and different views and values, and just a very kind of reasonable, basic response, which is good. He didn't kowtow. Never give in, never apologize, right?
And so he even talked about how, like, you know, the basic idea, and like this is pretty well backed up, that offensive content, like whether it's movies or TV shows or jokes, they do not translate to real world violence. They generally don't. There's no real connection there.
So it's like proven. Like this was
Yeah.
the argument in the 80s and 90s
with video games.
Music,
that like music in the 80s.
Yeah, which was like, no, Metallica and Slayer and Wolfenstein and these video games, like these aren't killing people. I played, I mean, I know it's anecdotal. I played every violent game. I've seen every violent movie growing up. When I was a kid, I would play Mortal Kombat. I would play first-person shooters. I would watch the most violent movies. Starship Troopers is still one of my favorite movies. Extremely violent. I've never touched a real gun. I've never fired a gun. I've never I don't. Not there's anything wrong with that either. Like if you own guns, great. Like it's just it doesn't translate. Like that's been disproven. And
look at the evil.
And that was such a wasn't it like a big right wing argument in the 80s and 90s?
Yeah, it was. Traditionally, it was always the right that was going after this stuff. And even back in the 50s, there was a book called The Seduction of the Innocent that was written by some quack psychologist talking about how comic books, specifically horror comic books, were causing delinquency because they were violent and there's a lot of sexual themes. But like looking back on this is like all of his studies were all debunked. Like there was nothing.
Yeah, it's like women showing their ankles would make guys even to this day in countries that have like Islamic law. It was like the reason that women can't show certain things because the men can't handle it. Yeah, like that's why. I mean, okay, that's a big blanket statement. That is it. In some cases, it's like because the men can't handle that, and that's why you see these rates of sexual assault in large Muslim populations in non-Islamic law countries, like Germany and things, because it's like, holy shit, there's all these miniskirts, like it's overload. But anyway, yes, this is this argument that and so that is what they're protesting, right? They're not, which is, and you notice, and this is what I fucking can't stand, like you notice that the argument changes from, and I think this happens subtly. And I'm going to keep my eye on it. It used to be not that long ago, well, it's offensive, so you can't say it, right? But I think too many people didn't buy that, which is good. Now what you're seeing is this proliferation, air quotes, of violence, air quotes, that this is leading to violence. It's not just offensive, that's causing real, also disproven. Like the whole thing, they try and blame Trump on the rise of Asian violence. It's like, well, but no, Trump supporters aren't causing that. Like, I haven't seen a single video. And even Dave Chappelle in his special makes a joke about all the videos of black people attacking Asians. And he makes a coronavirus joke saying that's what it feels like when I had coronavirus in my body. It was black people attacking Asians. Like, I swear to God, I can fucking swear to God, he says that. And he's like, he felt bad. He's like, I see all these videos of black people. Like, I didn't see a single video. I saw almost all black men attacking Asians of all different ages and genders, and maybe some Latino, but like I didn't see a single guy in like Jussie Smollett getting attacked in Chicago by two guys. Like it doesn't fucking happen. So this violence shit, but and unfortunately the January 6th shit has just like reignited that. It's like words equal violence. Like no, violence equals violence. Right. It's just, and so that's where this is going. And they have no statistics to back it up. It's been disproven logically. They have no statistics to back it up. And yet it's part of the discourse, which is such bullshit that it's just, it's like, well, if you say something, well, then these jokes are causing violence. Show me where. Who watched Dave Chappelle's special and went, I'm going to fuck up a transgender woman. Right. Like, no, it doesn't fucking happen. Exactly, the vast majority of attacks on transgender people happen within their own communities. Just like the vast majority of attacks on white people happen by other white people, and black people on other black people, or family members. Like that's the husbands killing wives. Like, you have a much higher chance of being attacked by a spouse or a family member or a friend than a random person on the street. It's just statistics. Right. But that's where it goes now. It's just, oh, well, it's causing violence. Well, fucking show me.
Yeah, I know. They always fall back on these very nebulous ideas, very nebulous, vague concepts of certain definitions. Like we're like, like having specific definitions for words, like that's gone completely out the window. This is not completely related. It's a bit of a tangent, but
which is dangerous, right?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Like it's fucking, and I hate, I always kind of recede from words that kind of end up too much. Like, obviously I love Orwell, but Orwellian has been thrown around so much. But that is actually Orwellian. Like, Orwellian is not just mass surveillance. That's what a lot of people think. No, Orwellian is changing words and changing history to fit the current narrative. Like the saying, well, Eurasia has always been at war with East Asia. And then it's no, excuse me. It's like, where do they live in? Where do they live in 1984? Well, it doesn't matter. What airstrip 1, but Oceania, that's it. Oceania has always been at war with East Asia, right? Oceania has always been at war with East Asia. Oceania has always been at war with East Asia. Next week, Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia. Like, and there's change it, and you have to delete that, and that's what they're doing. It's like, I shared this recently on Webster's with anti-vax. Anti-vax used to mean against vaccines.
No.
Anti-vaccines. You know what it is now? Anti-vaccine mandates also. That's not fucking anti-vax. That's anti-mandate. According to that definition, I'm anti-vax. I'm vaccinated, but somehow I'm anti-vax according to Webster's. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah. I remember I once got into a debate with some hardcore feminists on Twitter, and
I'm sure that went well.
Yeah, it was just some random nutcase, but she was talking about how we live, you know, in the West, we live in a patriarchy, and I was like, no, we don't. Like, the dictionary says that a true patriarchy is one in which women are not allowed to hold positions of power. Like, women are allowed to hold positions of power, and she goes, that's not a real patriarchy. A real patriarchy.
I love that. I love the real. It's not real communism.
Yeah. Like patriarchy is like, it's the collection of, like, negative attitudes towards women. It's like attitudes, but so you can't measure that. You can't. There's not been.
This might be stating the obvious, but there's not been a better time and better place in human history for women. Maybe some pockets here and there, maybe. There's never been a better time, better place in the history of humanity for women than in the West of the 21st century.
Right.
Like, there just isn't. Canada, the U.S., Europe, Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Like, it's never been better. And yet they're the ones with the most grievances. I say they, I mean, like, the feminist activists is what I mean. Like, it doesn't mean there aren't still problems. It doesn't mean that there's not, like, of course it exists, but it's not this systematic thing that people make out. Like, it's shitty. I do fucking domestic violence law, right? Like, I know that they're really hard, and the vast majority of my clients are women, and the vast majority of the defendants are men. Not always. Sometimes it's gay couples, sometimes it's siblings or parent and adult child, but the vast majority of the time that is the case. So, but that's not, like, the patriarchy,
right? Exactly.
Right? Like, they're just violent, shitty men. Yes, but of course it's always, well, that's not the real. It's like communism. Well, communism's failed in Soviet Union and Southeast Asia and East Asia and Cuba, but it's, well, yeah, but that's not real communism. Like, that's they got this part wrong. But if we just did that, it would be fucking utopia.
Right, exactly. Well, speaking of feminists, so after Ted Sarandos, the Netflix CEO, sent out that email, guess who chimed in? Fucking Hannah Gadsby. God, I fucking hate her.
I don't really know who that is.
She's the Australian manly comedian.
She trans?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure she's no. I think she's just lesbian.
I think she's true.
I don't think so. I think she's just a masculine.
Okay.
But so anyways, she released a statement on Instagram, and I have it here, and it's so stupid. So well, let me back up a second here, because I like to shout on her, but she makes part of a good point here.
Okay.
So
let's hear it.
Ted Sarandos, he mentioned her in his email, saying something like, "Hey, look, we've got a great diversity of content. We've got Dave Chappelle, we got Hannah Gadsby, we got this, we got that." I don't mind her being bothered for being brought into a controversy like this. So this opens up basically saying, "Hey, look, keep me out of this controversy. I don't want anything to do with it." Right? So
that's
I'm
fair.
fine. That's fair, right?
Yeah.
But then she says,
Until keep me out of this controversy until I'm going to be so fucking in it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here, I'll just read her statement real quick. Hey, Ted Sarandos, just a quick note to let you know that I would prefer if you didn't drag me into your mess, or drag my name into your mess. Now I have to deal with even more of the hate and anger that Dave Chappelle's fans like to unleash on me every time Dave gets $20 million to process his emotionally stunted partial worldview. You didn't pay me nearly enough to deal with the real world consequences of hate speech. Of the hate speech dog whistling and refuse to acknowledge, Ted. Fuck you and your amoral algorithm cult. I do shits with more backbone than you. That's just a joke. I definitely didn't mean to cross the line. You just told the world there isn't one. So the hate speech thing, like, shut up, Hannah. Like, okay, so I didn't watch her first special. So both of her specials, Nanette and Douglas, are on Netflix. I did not watch Nanette, but I've seen Douglas, and it sucks. But again, I'll give her a little bit of credit. She's capable of being funny. She can be witty. She can have good comic timing. She can
Sure.
crack a good joke. But again, just 98% of what she says is just straight white men. And it's not the fact that she makes fun of straight white men that bothers me. It's the fact that she combines her comedy with her activism. Like when she gets off the stage, she's doing interviews talking about how men need to do this and how white people are bad at that and blah, blah, blah.
Is she white?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course. I honestly don't know who this person is.
Yeah. She was mentioned. What's that men's magazine? Is it Maxim? I think there are a few others. Maybe it's Maxim.
Men's magazine, Esquire.
I don't know.
GQ?
Maybe it's Esquire. GQ. One of those. But she got some kind of profile in there for some reason, and it was talking about how men need to be more.
They went dude. Those magazines. I used to be a regular reader of Esquire and GQ.
Yeah.
Men's Health.
Yeah.
I know at least GQ published some. I don't mean to go too off topic here. They published some like I'm a sucker for like a reading list, like a book list, like 30 books you should read or whatever. And they did one it's like, which kind of actually ties into what we were talking about before, like 30 books to read instead of these. Well, of course, it wasn't like in addition to. It wasn't like, well, if you liked Old Man at the Sea, read this, right? It was like shitting on classics, and they did the Bible. They were like, don't read the Bible, read this. I'm like, I'm pretty sure people are reading the Bible for other reasons than like a nice story. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just so like fucking like, and of course, every old book you shouldn't read was like vast majority written by like white men who are mostly dead. All the new ones are like Caribbean, mixed race, non-binary, native, two soul, Buddhist. Should I keep going? Like authors and stuff. It's just and like of course it's like don't read Slaughterhouse 5. Don't read like these amazing books. And to me that's just unnecessarily divisive. I would and I haven't read honestly, and it's like, well, does it matter? It's like, well, I actually haven't read GQ since. Like I have not read any GQ since. Because that's my own little form of protest. Like I've always said, boycotting is fine. Boycotting is not cancel culture.
Right.
But it's just like, of course it is. Like, of course, here we go. Like, don't read these. No, how about if you liked this, maybe try this.
Yeah.
You're making both sides happy. You're making everyone happy. Like, not like, oh, this piece of shit book. Like, don't read that. Read this book that no one's heard of, but is written by BIPOC plus LGBTQ 1A, 2A, whatever, and it's just I don't know. It's just ridiculous to me. And then Men's Health did a bunch of like woke shit during the Great Awakening. Esquire still might be okay. I don't know. You know, someone read it and it's like, no, they're woke too. It's like, all right, but it's like this self-flagellation of like these men's magazines putting these people who's like shit on them and then give them the spotlight. It's like, do you have no backbone?
It's men, we need to do better thing. So annoying. But getting back to men, let's talk about Hannah Gadsby. The reason why I make fun of her is because like she got profiled in one of these men's magazines, and it was talking about how men need to be more compassionate. And the picture that they used for it was her in like a men's tuxedo thing. And it's like, okay, if you want men to be more compassionate, I think specifically it was men need to be more ladylike. And it's like, Hannah Gadsby, why don't you follow your own fucking advice?
That's a very different thing.
Yeah, it was so stupid. It was Anyway, but getting back to the Dave Chappelle thing and Hannah Gadsby though, the jokes that Dave Chappelle has made about trans and LGBTQ folks are no worse than the jokes that Hannah Gadsby has made about straight white men. Like 99% of what she says.
But it doesn't matter. Like I know what you're saying, but like, it just doesn't.
Right.
It just doesn't matter.
But it's funny that she labels Dave Chappelle's jokes as hate speech. But like,
people don't know what that means. You know how many arguments I have with people? It's like, first we'll get talking about ACLU and stuff. Like, yeah, but what about hate speech? I'm like, hate speech is allowed. Like this is the United States. Like in some countries it's not. You're right. I don't want their First Amendment law, or not their First Amendment, their free speech laws there. Like that's one thing that we do really fucking well. I commend other countries for a lot of certain policies. Like I don't think anywhere has it perfectly. We definitely don't. But in terms of free speech, like we are the gold standard of free speech. And we're going to fucking lose that. Like there was a guy in I think Scotland or England, like the UK, who like went to jail or had to pay a fine because he taught his dog how to do a Sig Heil.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
Yeah,
I follow him on Twitter, but like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, or saying controversy. And I don't know people, I mean, personally, but like people in the IDW or whatever, like Melissa Chen, she is brilliant. She has great work, and she's super hot, Asian, and she comes from Singapore, and it was like the main reason she came here instead of Canada or the UK or France or Australia was because of our First Amendment laws. They are the gold standard, and we have to protect them at all costs. And when people say things like hate speech or not only silence is violence, but also speech is violence, like it's not, unless it is like, there are threats. That's right. I'm not a free speech absolutist. No one actually is. Like I see that, unfortunately, I see that in people's Twitter bios and stuff, and people usually agree with me and stuff. But it's like, no, you're not. Like, you're not okay with child porn, I hope. You're not okay with like torture stuff. Like, no, you're not a free speech absolutist. It actually really doesn't exist. Maybe, but it's limited in terms of, no doxing, threats of violence. That's not speech. That's
libel and
libel, defamation, slander, like but the vast majority of it is okay just because you don't like it. And unfortunately, like, it's a really hard pill to swallow sometimes. I think I've said it before in this podcast. There is a great HBO documentary called The Mighty Ira. It's about one of the best, a very high profile attorney at the ACLU back when the ACLU actually stood for something. And he talks about this, and he's Jewish, and he defended the Nazis in Skokie, Illinois. He took on, and he would go on these shows like Donahue, and there would be black men there to debate with him, and they would agree. Like Donahue would think that they weren't going to agree, and they would agree because they would know the black men would know. I don't mean to say black man because I can't remember who it was. A professor or a public figure, something like that, and say, no, he's right, because if we silence the neo-Nazis, then we're going to silence Malcolm X. We're going to silence Martin Luther King. We're going to they're the next Martin Luther King. We're going to silence, it always comes back to you. Like, you have to protect the value, not the speech. You're protecting the value of free speech, not the speech itself. You combat that speech with counter speech, with better speech, with better ideas. You don't, these speakers don't go away as much as you might want them to go to prison or to die. Like, they don't. The ideas stay there, and they actually gain power from you silence, because then they become dangerous and become more interesting. And it's like, if you just put them out there, a lot of times they're dumb anyway. So let people say them, like, but anyway, that's my little free speech tirade that I'm sure I'll go on plenty of times throughout this podcast.
It's for those of you who don't know, Ben's a lawyer, so he's got unique insight into a lot of this type of stuff.
Don't be a lawyer. There's that song in that show, like, I think My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which is probably like misogynistic now. I don't know if they changed the title, but it's like there's a whole song like, don't be a lawyer, don't do it, it really, really sucks, don't be a lawyer. No, but I actually love it.
Well, there's that Simpsons character, Lionel Hutz, who's like this, like the stereotypical sleazy lawyer. And he's having dinner with the Simpsons, and then Bart Simpson's like, hey, Mr. Hutz, when I grow up, I want to become a lawyer too. And then Lionel Hutz goes, yeah, good for you, son. If there's one thing the world needs more of, it's lawyers. He goes, can you imagine a world without lawyers? And then it shows what he's thinking, and it's like utopia, like every race, rainbows, and everything's happening. He goes,
well, so there's that saying, it's like, whenever there's a revolution, it's like, first kill all the lawyers. No, it's good. I really like my work, and I don't do, by the way, don't start trying to contact me for like suing CNN or something. I don't do defamation law. It's just an interest of mine. I love, and it's important because I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a writer, and I'm a podcaster, and I'm a shit poster. So like, I don't want I say some shit online that I hope doesn't put me in prison one day because we've changed our laws and stuff like that.
Nice.
Probably will though.
No.
I would. That's the thing. So if we went to prison, would you have to go Latin King and I'd have to go Aryan Brotherhood, or what would you do?
I think I joined the Crips.
The Crips? You can't. You're not
Blood.
black. No,
Or,
you're.
not.
You'd have to go Latin King.
I thought I thought the Crips were. I don't know. I don't know much about prison gangs. Prison gangs.
The Crips are black. The Bloods are black. The Latin
I thought-
Kings are Latino.
That's
Aaron
it?
Brothers. What?
I thought they
Well,
were
those are like the
other
big
Latin
I know
gangs.
those are the big California ones. Like I think
Oh.
different, but California's so big. Like, yeah, I think I'd have to go Aryan Brotherhood. Shaved head. I don't want to shave my head.
Yeah.
We'd be enemies. See, that
Yeah, I
sucks.
guess
I don't
so.
want to go to prison. I'd be like, I know him. They'd be like, no, he's not pure.
We got to make prisons more woke. This is getting out of hand, man.
Yeah, good. We have them already. It's called San Francisco. It's called LA. I'm gonna see what a woke prison looks like when I go to your fucking city. And
There's got to be more diversity in prisons.
They have diversity. They don't want to hang out together. That's the thing. It was like that was always the thing in college. Like I went to this small liberal arts school, and like you go there, like the vast majority, yes, in sports, there were some like a lot of times black kids hung out with black kids, white kids hung out with white kids. It was just I don't know. I don't know if there's anything wrong with that. It wasn't because of like hate. It was just like a lot of times that's who you're around. Doesn't mean I didn't have black friends. It doesn't mean that there weren't groups. There was a white kid, of course, who joined the black fraternity. But I don't know. I feel like it's just life.
So you got your degree at David Duke University then? Is that
Yeah, right. That's right. David Duke University, and that's right. I don't know how all the black kids got in. Went to David Duke University.
Well, he's keeping them separate. He's just kind of like
right.
Separate,
Well, hey, they're gonna have segregation at colleges now anyway.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of
the students get what they want.
Oh.
There was a petition. They didn't cave, of course. I mean, people. I think sometimes like anti-woke Twitter sometimes has to break and pause. I think so, and I'm part of that.
Yeah.
But we have to just like stop because like NYU. There's a whole thing like NYU's gonna have segregated dorms. Like, no. Some students asked for that.
Yeah.
They didn't. They denied it. They're like, no, that's illegal. So, but it was like NYU segregated dorms. Like sometimes we have to we also have to stop and read the article and take a breath. And it could be. It's not always our fault. Sometimes there is crazy shit. School in Seattle did just cancel Halloween for equity reasons. I know it's fucking crazy. Instead of just like maybe buying the handful of kids costumes who can't afford it, or for just like maybe letting them have a religious exemption, which is probably fundamentalist Christian anyway. Usually the only people I've ever met who don't celebrate Halloween are like hardcore Christians. So it's funny that they go so far left that they end up on the right. It's like that's why I said I don't know if you saw the tweet. It was like ricochet win for fundamentalist Christians, where like Halloween getting canceled at a school. That's what they want. But the left wing had to do it for them.
Yeah, I know.
So
Dave Chappelle thing,
Chappelle's thing was I thought it was funny. Like I thought it was really good. I don't think it was amazing. It's obviously more well known now, and of course, and the last thing we always say is too. It's like to be honest, I watched it because of the protest.
Controversy.
Doesn't mean I would have never. I didn't watch the last one. I love Chappelle. I kind of go in personally. I just kind of like. I love stand-up, but I feel like I go in waves. Like sometimes I watch a ton of stand-up and then I don't for a while. But I love it. I grew up watching a lot of stand-up. But I put it on, well, one, because we were going to talk about it, but two, because of the controversy. So again, it's people bringing attention to something that like they want silence, but now I guarantee you many, many, many more people watched it because you amplified it by saying how horrible it is.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like I kind of alluded to this a little while ago, but it's like I started writing an article about the closer, and then the story just kept getting crazier and crazier. And it seemed like every day there's something new happening. I was like, okay, I'm going to publish this article tomorrow, and like the next day, it's like some crazy thing would happen. Okay, I'm like, okay, all right, hold on, I got to wait for this thing to blow over so I can write. And so it's just crazy shit keeps happening. So, Ted Sarandos, whatever the fuck, he sent out the email, and then Hannah Gadsby chimes in with her stupid opinions, and then. So they protested. I know that they protested here in LA. They did a walkout on Wednesday, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday. It was on the October 20th. And so then now Sarandos has apologized. And I got his quote here. What I should have led with in those emails was humanity. I should have recognized the fact that a group of our employees was really hurting. To be clear, storytelling has an impact in the real world, sometimes quite negative, he said. So I was like, oh, God. At first, I was totally on his side. I was like, dude, don't cave. I love that email. Like, you did a great job articulating why comedy should be provocative and it should push buttons and the importance of freedom of speech. I was like, dude, don't back off. That's a great email.
I know. I did see. So while you're right, he caved in a way. He did also say we're not taking it down, which
So far, yes.
that's right. And that to me is still a win in a way, because right now we're like, just no fucking censorship, right? If a CEO wants to count, like, I don't like it, of course.
Yeah.
He should just stick to his guns. You should never apologize. It's never enough. It only fuels the flames. If you just don't do anything, they'll get bored and find something else to be pissed off about in a week.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you don't have to do any of that.
Right.
Like, people would kill to work at Netflix. Like, you can just hire other people. So you're right. I don't like it. But at the same time, at least it wasn't, okay, we'll take it down. We hear you. Like, that would scare me.
Right.
That's
so
when
far, it's still up.
So far, it's still up.
And then this just happened today. Again, like it seems like I'm never gonna be able to write this article because this story keeps fucking developing.
Let's have to podcast about it.
Yeah, exactly. Comedian Dave Chappelle's, this is from some article, I think the Hollywood Reporter or something. Comedian Dave Chappelle's representatives have said he's willing to talk to Netflix employees angered by his comedy special, The Closer. Dave stands by his art. No more jokes about transgenders until we can all laugh together, said an unidentified representative to TMZ. The streets are talking and Dave is listening. At some point, when everyone is open, I'm sure the communities will come together.
No. Is that it?
Yeah, that's
so.
it.
So here's the thing. So now I think you'll be okay with this because he says that at the end of the special. So
Okay.
I don't want you to think that he said that because of the protest. No, he says at the end of the special, he lays into the trans activists so much that he says, now I'm done. I've made my points.
Yeah.
No more until we so don't think that it was because of the protest did not do that.
Okay.
Him coming out, and to be honest, I'm okay with people talking. Like, I think that's good. I think people who disagree should talk more. Usually what happens is the people on, if we're going to pick sides, on our side, on usually the anti-woke, doesn't matter if they're liberal, conservative, libertarian, whatever, we're the ones who want to talk. It's the wokes who don't want to. The crits don't want to talk. They want to bitch and tweet to their base and protest. But then the second they get invited onto a podcast or to a debate stage, the vast majority of them refuse because they know they don't have logical, reasonable arguments. They have voices. They have fists. They have spray cans or whatever. Like, they have violence. Like, they're the ones who are the most violent out of all of them.
Have you seen the videos of the protests here in LA?
Yeah.
That
guy was great. Vito.
Some dude came out and he had a sign that said "We like Dave" or something like that. And then
it said "We like jokes."
Yeah,
that's what he said. He was saying "We like jokes." We like Dave, and then of course these fucking publications just lie, absolutely lie. Say he was using profanity, which one he wasn't. Two, it's okay. You're allowed to use profanity. Like, what happened was, and this is what's so fucking dangerous about these people, and that's why they're so full of shit when they talk about the defund the police stuff, because he had a sign, some guy grabbed it, broke it, handed him back the handle and said he has a weapon. The same guy. That is so fucking crazy. That's that's like what people were protesting about two summers ago, was like people making up threats and getting the police involved in things that then turn legitimately violent. And you're doing it. It's crazy to me. They're taking crazy pills.
Like, what a sleazy fucking cowardly thing to do. Like,
and of course, he's a writer at Netflix. Apparently, the guy. But he'll keep his job, even though he called the police and the mob on a guy. And of course, I don't forget his name. I think it was Vito. He has a YouTube channel. He's very successful. It looks like he was like, they're like, drop your weapon. He's like, all right. And he's like, throws it to the side. It's like, it's not a weapon. Like, you turned it into a weapon. It was a sign.
So this is a wild story. I think I'm just gonna write a bunch of smaller articles just talking about, just commenting on each new development, because this is a wacky, crazy thing going on.
But here's what's interesting about this is that I think this shows that we talk about the victimization pyramid. Trans is at the top. And what's crazy, according to their logic, for now, someone's always moving up, but according to their logic, Dave Chappelle, a very extremely successful black man from DC, I believe grew up in poverty. Maybe not. I don't know exactly, but DC, extremely successful, is lower on the victimization pyramid than someone, according to their logic, someone who looks like me, who I could put on a skirt and say, I'm trans, right? I don't have to have any surgeries, change anything about me, and I'm above him now. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Because it's not about transit. Like, trans means fucking transitioning, but it's not about transitioning. It's about identifying.
Right.
And you could say, I'm a woman. I move ahead of Dave Chappelle on, which is like, it's, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words. It's just so backwards. Again, I don't think the victimization pyramid should exist based on race or religion or gender or any of that shit. I think it should be based on your personal circumstances and your experiences.
Yep.
But that's so fucking crazy that, like, that's why you can have a white woman in a gorilla mask throw eggs at a black man from South Central. But because he's a conservative and she's a liberal, totally okay.
Right.
But if you reverse those, if he was a Democrat running for governor of California, I'm talking about Larry Elder, of course. And you had a MAGA woman in a gorilla mask, a white woman in a fucking gorilla mask throwing shit at a black guy, it would be Jim Crow 3.0.
Yeah.
This is crazy. What is happening in this goddamn fucking country? I don't get it, Joe. I don't get it. I don't know the rules. I don't like it. I'm getting really angry about it.
Kick one of your cats.
I'm not laughing. I'm mad. I don't get it. I don't know the right. It's confusing.
Kick one of your cats.
Doesn't make any goddamn sense. Fuck.
It's cool, man. Take a chillaxative.
No, I'm not happy. I'm upset. Very upset. Right when I think I understand the rules, they flip them on me.
I know. Yeah. Stupid intersectionality. Hey, you want to hear some good news though?
No, I'm gonna be mad. What's the good news?
Anger makes for good content. No, so you know that our podcast, that little email thread between you, me, Alma, Nathan. Alma said, "Sick. So we doing this?
The incestuous dark web."
Yeah. So it looks like we're gonna be talking. All of us, all five of us.
We're good at that.
Yeah.
Kind of. We're all right.
Oh.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'm good at it.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
The other guy though.
LA.
Oh.
How many times do you think I get raped when I come visit you?
By me?
No. Well, maybe. No, by the outdoor prison you have going on there.
Oh, I mean, just bring lubricant. It'll go
It'll
faster.
Be all right.
Yeah.
It will go faster. I don't know if I want to. Jesus Christ.
Just come lubed.
Come lubed. I'm sliding off that fucking plane. We're sliding down Van Nuys. I don't know. That's a street, right? In LA.
It's a city. Yeah, probably a street too.
That's in the valley, I think.
Yeah. It's in the valley. Okay, so it's still October, and ideally, this episode will be released in October.
Can I make another drink while we're doing this? Can you talk for a little, or just want to cut this?
No,
I'll be quick.
So for those of you,
I'm a hot little potato.
I like Ben more when he's drunk. He can be very cruel when he's sober. When he's drunk, he's much more gregarious, open-hearted, and genuine. But for those of you who don't know, Ben will be coming down to LA this November 11th through the 14th, and we're going to be talking to Alma Cook, who was on the show before, and we're going to be talking to a couple of other musicians, and this will all be in person, and drinking and smoking and putting all kinds of weird shit into our bodies while we're talking, and it should be a fun little bootleg raw episode. I don't think there's going to be any protection or lubricant involved in that conversation, so I hope you guys will be able to handle it. And you cannot sue us if you can't handle it, because Ben's a lawyer and he's a very drunken lawyer, and you do not want to have to go up against that person in court.
All right.
All right.
Yourself? Fucking
Yeah, I was talking. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. It was a different Ben DeLucio. It's not you.
Oh,
Yeah.
my evil twin.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, fuck that guy. Yeah.
I actually am the evil twin.
Oh.
I wear his skin suit. Oh, speaking of which, okay, so we were going to talk horror, right?
Yes.
All right. Dude, I watched a very fucked up movie last night. Have you seen the movie Tusk?
No, I haven't. That's the Kevin Smith one, right?
Kevin Smith, dude, that movie is very disturbing.
Okay.
I liked it. It doesn't have good Rotten Tomato scores for either critics or audience. So this isn't like one of those 30-point differential. Like they're both raw, and actually audience disliked it even more.
Huh.
Do you know the premise?
Yeah. It's that wussy actor guy.
Justin Long? You don't like Justin Long? Justin Long's great. You don't like him?
I like him, but I don't know. He always just plays like sort of. There's something about he's always plays like the awkward.
Well, he plays a podcaster in this movie, so.
Yeah, he gets turned into a walrus, and he fights an old guy. A walrus. It's like a trans walrus, right? Like.
So it's way darker. Like it's not like he wants to be a walrus. It's very much against his free will. He basically goes to interview. So he has a podcast with actually Haley Joel Osment, who's he's pretty funny in the movie. He's a very funny line. They're I mean, this is 2014, so it's still like kind of early podcasting. Yeah. And they have some podcasts where they just like give commentary on viral videos, right? Like very 2014. So he goes to interview some kid up in Canada. They're in LA up in Canada, who's I think is a spinoff, like it's a joke, a play on the Star Wars kid, but this kid like doesn't with a sword. He ends up cutting his leg off, and then he ends up killing himself. But he's up there and like he shows up and the kid's dead. So he's like, fuck, I'm already up here. I need to find some like freak to interview because I already spent the money to come up here and whatever in time. So he finds some rich guy in the middle of nowhere, has some big fancy house. The guy, so basically spoilers. Do you mind if I get spoilers?
Yeah, go for it.
It was pretty old. It's like 7 years old now. The guy drugs him. And he has this affinity for a walrus. When he was in the war, he like was shipwrecked on a bunch of rocks, and there's a walrus there he befriended or something. I don't think it became sexual. He ends up eating the walrus, stay alive, and then he gets saved. So anyway, he has this thing for walruses, and he fucking turns Justin Long into a walrus. It is so gross, but like really just disturbing, and I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's super entertaining. It's actually some really funny parts. Not with the walrus. It's super sad. Like not definitely a downer. Like don't watch it. It's not a happy ending by any means. But so that's it. And it's weird. I was actually writing the review for it before this. I didn't finish it. Okay. But I recommend it. I'm giving it like a 68 or something. It's good. It's not but their thing is called the Nazi Party, but it's Nazi, like Notsee. So like when the girl's on the phone, like, oh, and he's in the Nazi Party. I was like, spell it. Oh, nice. Johnny Depp's in it too. He plays like a Quebecois detective or something. Okay. I didn't know it was him in the movie actually. But it was good. It was funny. It was and disturbing. It was dark, very dark, but it was original. Like it was something new. It was something I'd never seen before.
That's part of like another sort of a shared universe that Kevin Smith's been working on, because Yoga Hosers takes place in that world.
Yes, well, right? There. I saw that on his, because I was looking at his filmography. That was next. Those two girls are like they're gas station attendants or something. Like they work in a convenience store. There's in a couple scenes though. Yeah, but this isn't the Askew-niverse, right?
No.
I'm a big fan of
the I forgot what he called it. It was like the Great Northern Universe,
Great White North or something
like that.
Yeah. Well, Kevin Smith, the Askew-niverse is I like because it's very New Jersey centric. Kevin Smith's the Jersey boy. Right. But anyway, that was the most recent horror movie I watched. Have you ever heard of? Did I talk about 10 Minutes to Midnight on the last episode? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. No.
Also an interesting movie, kind of low budget, but it was really good. It has Caroline Williams. She's known for kind of being in slashers like the 80s. I think she was in. I think her most famous movie is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yep.
I mean, from her filmography, to me, that looked like the most.
Yeah.
She's really good. So basically, it's like a single setting horror, which a lot of low budget ones are, and she's a radio DJ, but like kind of an aging one.
Interesting, because she played a radio DJ in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as well.
That's probably why, right? That's probably a play on that. And but now she's like aging, and there's the hot new girl who's going to replace her, but that's kind of unsaid secret. Like it's a known secret, I should say. But when she first walks in, was bit on the neck. And so it's clearly a vampire movie, and even like the security guard's making a steak, or it's very absurd, very surreal. It's kind of funny. It's definitely a play on like ageism and retirement, but also with vampires. It is interesting. It's cool. There's a part where like all the characters kind of switch roles.
Yeah.
Or I should say all the actors switch characters, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. I also very much recommend it. I think low budget horror can be done well. It's like it's one of the areas that low budget can do really well.
Absolutely.
It's got plenty of blood and gore, but it's also kind of got a message. It's kind of weird, but it's fun.
Very cool.
Oh, and then I watched The Wailing, Korean movie.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Very good, really long, but really good. Kind of some twists, kind of folksy too, in terms of ghosts and demons. And it's in like Southwest Korea, very rural. And it's, this isn't like big city Seoul, Seoul, Korea or anything or like that. This is like very provincial. Basically just family members are killing their entire families and they can't figure out why, but there's a stranger who's Japanese. And if you know history, there's like a lot of tension between Japan and China, Japan and Korea, Japan, fucking up Korea and treating Koreans like slaves and really shitty. But anyway, just some of that, but he's like really weird. He lives in the woods. I won't give it anything away. It's a very good movie, but it keeps you engaged. It's like 2.5 hours. It definitely keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
Recommend it. Highly recommend it. I think I'm giving like an 85.
Okay, very cool. Mm-hmm. I watched a pretty cool horror movie last weekend. This is Possum from 2018.
I don't know it.
It's a very good one. It's written and directed by Matthew Holness. I'm not sure what else he's done. I believe this is a film from the UK. The main actor is Sean Harris, who's been in a few bigger films. I think he's more in the UK, but I think he played a villain in one of the recent Mission Impossible movies. But anyway, this is cool. It's not like a straight up monster flick or blood and guts type of thing. So Sean Harris plays this sort of awkward but also disgraced puppeteer. That's his thing. He's made puppets and he entertained children. But there was some kind of weird unsaid controversy around him. It's not really stated what happened, but people, like when he's walking around town, people call him a pervert. So he goes back to live with his uncle, his crazy old uncle, out in the country or something. And it's weird. Like the movie's aesthetic is really interesting. It has a sort of almost like Eraserhead, slightly uncanny valley, where it's like. So the house that they live in, it was recently the result of a fire, and they just never repaired it. So everything's just kind of like dusty and burned, and the whole thing just has like this very dreary,
Is it American?
No, it's a UK flick.
Oh, UK.
It says this very like a dreary, bleak atmosphere that I love. There's just this dread. There's no levity whatsoever. It's just a dreadful film in a very good way. Like there's something almost kind of like fairy tale-ish in a way. Like it just kind of takes place in like a weird, alternate, slightly different universe where everything's just very dark and bleak and nothing, and everything looks normal, but it's just a little off a little bit. But anyway, so this puppeteer, he's living with his crazy uncle because he's trying to get away from this controversy that's plagued him, and he's got this puppet. It's a really creepy puppet, and it's got like these long spider legs, like 8 spider legs, huge long legs, and like a man's head on it. And this puppet just keeps following them around, and he keeps destroying the
Oh.
puppet, but it,
Oh,
it
it's
starts
just like,
wandering around.
oh my God.
It's a weird.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, but it's great though. It's more of a slow burn. It's not a slasher flick
Yeah.
or a crazy tracing. But if you're more into something that's kind of cerebral and more uncanny and sort of fantastical, it's definitely worth the watch. But there's some great surrealistic imagery. This puppet, you're never quite sure like what's real and like what's like just happening in his mind. I won't give too much away, but it is kind of like there's a reason that the puppet's following him. But there are scenes where it's like he's walking down the street and then he'll see the face just staring at him from across the street through a window, and then like he'll go home and then he'll trash the puppet, and then like the next day it's back in his bed staring at him.
Did he diddle the puppet?
Yeah. And so now the puppet's asking like, why hasn't he called it back? No. It's I won't give too much away, but it was great because like all of like the creepy scares in the film, they have a reason. They have a personal connection to the main character, and I think that's when horror is done at its best, where it's not just normal characters and then they're being subjected to abnormal things. It's like the abnormal stuff actually has a personal connection to the main character. Like there's a reason for these scares. So it's called Possum. Came out in 2018. I definitely recommend it. It's weird. It's kind of a slow burn, but it's. I want to see.
I want to watch like Caveat. I remember
Caveat's good.
That sounds really scary.
Yeah, Caveat's both. That's Caveat is on Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime. So is Possum. Possum's on Amazon as well.
Oh, is it? All right, 2 more.
Yeah. Oh, and another thing I didn't watch. Not something related to watching something, but my friend and I last week we went to Universal Studios, the Halloween Horror Nights thing, which is cool. Every year they do this, and almost all of the mazes are based on existing movies or franchises.
There's Exorcist, right?
Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Purge.
All this year, or these are past ones?
These are all this year, and Bride of Frankenstein, and this is cool. So I don't know if have you ever been to Universal Studios? Either of them?
Yeah, Florida.
Okay. Do they have the tram ride where they show you like around the studio and like this famous movie was shot here, and stuff like that?
In Florida?
Yeah.
I haven't done it. If they have,
okay.
That Universal Studios in Florida, it's like the Terminator ride. And
yeah. Okay, so the one in Hollywood here, they have a tram ride where they just take you around the actual the film studio and like, oh, so this is where we shot this movie and this is where this TV show was shot. So it's like it's kind of like behind the scenes thing. But one of the places that they pass by is you pass by the Bates Motel and the house from Alfred Hitchcock Psycho. And so they closed that down, but the tram ride takes you down, and they're like this whole like the whole theme was like the Purge. So you're walking through like the studio, and like people are chasing you. They have all the stupid masks, and it looks all apocalyptic and everything. So my friend and I, we actually got to walk up to the Psycho house and got a picture taken. So that was cool.
That's
I'm
cool.
a huge
fan.
fan.
Have you seen that video of it's like one of those haunted hay rides or whatever, where the people chase after you.
Yeah.
One of them like is coming out of the woods, running down like the little hill to the car, and he fucking eats shit and smacks into the car. It's like, it totally breaks character. And they're like, "Are you okay? Oh my God, are you okay?"
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy, man.
Really, very, very funny. It's like, oh no! Here he has like a mask on and shit.
Oh, shit,
very,
man.
very funny.
But the Exorcist one is really cool. So you walk through a maze and like,
sure.
They actually built like a fake front of the house from the Exorcist. Like they actually built inside of it like an actual studio. So like,
sweet house, all-time house.
Yeah. And it's interesting. So like as you're walking through the maze, they basically had to recreate Reagan's room like 3 or 4 times. So like each time you walk through, it's a different part of the movie. So they have her floating in one room, and then you go to another room. It's like then they have her spinning head, and you go through another room. And then they have like a spider walk. Oh, they had like her doing the spider walk down the staircase.
Oof, nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
That's your shit out of me as a kid. That was one of the scariest things I'd ever seen.
That's such a creepy image, man.
Even still, it's extremely scary. But at the time, that was that's stuff nightmares are made of.
Oh yeah. The Texas Chainsaw one was cool. and right next to it they had like a Texas Chainsaw like barbecue thing. So my friend got some food. My friend and I got some food there.
Are they like
But-
are they cutting like with the chainsaw?
No, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah,
Missed opportunity.
I know.
It's like
There are
spinning the
times when they-
fucking that's spinning like the roast or whatever.
yeah. I mean, there are times where it's kind of like, oh, come on, like that's low hanging fruit, and you guys avoided it. Like, come on, you should have gone that extra step.
Yeah.
But overall, it was cool. Like, so what they do during these days is they close down the park like at 6 o'clock. They kick everybody out, and then they reopen and they do all the horror stuff. Oh, and then the other one was Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So they did a maze around that one.
Have you seen the new Halloween?
No, I'm probably going to see that one this weekend.
No.
Though.
I don't know. I have no really desire to see it. I had heard I watched the original last year. I had heard that the last one ended perfectly. I don't know if you saw it and you agree. It's just a money grab, man. And I get it. You need to make your money, but it's like it's just name recognition. This one I heard didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, no.
They should have ended it with the last one, but whatever.
I mean, honestly, they should have ended it like at the first one. Like
people like it. People like shit. They like shit, right? Whatever. I mean, I guess you need properties like that just put seats in butts.
Yeah.
Butts. Seats. Oh, God damn it! It's only my second drink. Butts and seats in theaters and keeps them. So that's in that case, I'm all for it, right?
Yeah.
Things make people happy. I don't give a shit on people's happiness.
Sure.
Unless it's really like uncouth and bad taste. Well, that's different. But whatever. Like you really, if you like it, you like it. That's fine. It's just not something I'm gonna go see.
Yeah, I know. And look, it's okay for us to shit on things where it's just kind of like, come on, dude, like. All the Halloween movies are pretty much the same. Like, come on, like the first one was great. Okay, like that's
the only one I've seen. I have no desire to see any of the others, or most of these properties. I just watched the original.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know what's funny is like my evolution. As like a horror fan, like my friend / roommate, like we're huge horror nuts, and like both of us when we were in high school, we loved Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers and all that stuff. But as we've gotten older, we're just like, yeah, like that's all those movies are pretty much the same. Like the culture and like the fanaticism around it. It's like, yeah, okay, I get it, sure, whatever, skulls and blood and guts, okay, nice.
It's nostalgic for a lot of people. I get it.
Yeah,
I watched all three last year when I was doing my Halloween binge.
Yeah.
Halloween, I should say, horror movie binge.
Yeah.
None of them really wowed me. Like they were all fine. Some were good. I think Halloween was the best out of those. No, Nightmare on Elm Street I think was the best out of those three.
I think so.
But like I wouldn't even put them at the top for my favorite horror. I mean, they're Midsummer, Hereditary, The Exorcist, a lot of different zombie movies and other sorts of things. I just put way ahead of those.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like there's this thing where it's just like the obsession with like the guy in the mask and the knife, and it's like, okay, but like all these movies are the same. Like I'm fine. Like once in a while, like I'll put on one of those movies. But yeah, like I love a cheesy slasher flick. Like it's fun. But I don't know, like just there's like this sort of like ingrown toenail thing going of just like, okay, like you're just kind of repeating the same stuff.
What was that one? It's like an old school. It's a new movie, but it's like an old school clown. He's like white and black.
Oh, Terrifier?
Yeah. Have you seen that?
No.
I feel like that was kind of a throwback. It looks really fucking gnarly. Like there's like a woman getting sawed in half and a guy getting his head cut. It looks really fucking gnarly, but it looks like a throwback to that kind of like. But like, I mean, if you look back at a lot of them, they're like pretty tame for today's standards, especially Halloween.
Yeah,
Halloween is very tame for today's standards. Friday the 13th is a little more violent. It's also like some of it's really bad in terms of the effects.
Yeah.
Like that last scene where his mom gets her head knocked off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just, you didn't even need to show it. Yeah, just don't even show the head. It was so bad.
Yeah.
But
yeah, man. You got any plans for Halloween?
So I live in the suburbs, and last year, so I'm kind of a fucking idiot. I assumed that like just the Saturday of Halloween weekend is when kids would be trick or treating.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's like not how it works at all. It's like actually Halloween.
Yeah.
I don't remember when Halloween was last year, what day it fell on, but I was just sitting there on a Saturday because it definitely wasn't Saturday because this year's a Sunday. Like I saw my, the Facebook group for my small town I live in, and they like say when you're allowed to go trick or treating, like 5 to 8 or something on Sunday, October 31st. So I didn't get any trick or treaters last year, but then again, I wasn't waiting for them on Halloween, so I don't even know where I was. If it was like, I'm not sure. But do I have any plans for Halloween? No, probably not. Hanging with my girlfriend.
No,
that's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we'll probably dress up, do something. Last year I was a parody of myself.
Oh,
which is
sure everybody got that.
Seriously, super meta. I like wore which is now just who I am, which is funny. It's like I just wore like a tinfoil hat and had a sign that was like, the media can't lie to you if there is no truth. I wore this jacket and like my big, which I'll bring to LA, my big Hunter S. Thompson sunglasses, my big yellow frame sunglasses. This is like who I've turned into though. So that's just myself last year, basically. Yeah. That'll do it to you. Slandra.
Yeah. Very cool.
Anything else we should discuss on this episode 11 of the Zeckless Musecast?
No, I think that's it. I think we've covered every important historic matter that's ever happened.
Everything's ever happened. All right. Well, thank you for listening. We are trying to do episode a week now.
Yeah,
looks like
I think that's
have an episode come out a week. That's good. We're going to do some in-person shows when I'm in sunny California.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't get gang murdered.
Or raped by me.
Or raped by you. All right. Signing off.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Fight the crits.
Yeah.
Don't forget to fight the crits and stay reckless.
And stay in school.
Stay reckless, Joe.
Stay reckless, man.